Now, given that both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are gearing up to announce a host of new Star Wars TV shows, not just at Star Wars Celebration, but also at D23, which, by the way, takes place later this year, we also have Bob Iger and the Disney executives really pre-planning an actual strategy to really expand the Star Wars franchise that goes beyond the shows, to return Star Wars back to the cinemas, to bring Star Wars movies back as the main focus on the big screen once more. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, there's no doubt about it that by far one of the fan favorite characters within the Star Wars franchise is indeed Luke Skywalker. We all saw how a lot of fans got so very excited with the Mando Season 2 finale and with the Book of Boba Fett, I believe Episode 6 it was, where we actually got to see his Jedi Temple getting built, himself training Grogu and stuff around those lines. Now what Jon and Dave are preparing to do is to actually take, of course, key elements from Star Wars Legends and how they're going to be able to incorporate different iterations of Luke Skywalker in many upcoming Star Wars shows, many of which involve Mando Season 4, Ahsoka Season 2, and a lot of other projects that are currently in the early development phase. However, with that being all put out there and said, what's even all the more exciting about all of this is exactly what's been going on with, of course, Disney Star Wars involving the return of Luke Skywalker and what Jon and Dave have planned for, of course, the future. Now, as we have discussed already before, the Mando Force script is moving along very well. The storyboards are being endlessly illustrated by Jon and Dave to really kind of prepare for the scenes, and one of which is going to come across as a shocker, so let's dive right into it. Now, given that Disney and Lucasfilm are beginning to produce more projects and having Lucasfilm focus on Star Wars strictly, one of the big moments that is currently being worked on by both Jon and Dave for an upcoming Star Wars show that will focus on Luke again is described to take place within The Mandalorian Season 4, in the form of a flashback through one of the new characters that will be introduced that goes under the code name of Jared. Now, Jared is described to have been a fighter who battled on Jakku during the final fight against the Empire, where a flashback begins that brings in one of the big moments for Luke Skywalker. Now, all of this was storyboarded by Jon and Dave already for The Mandalorian Season 4, where a rear shot of Luke in his black robes appear on the edge of a cliff on Jakku, where he begins to raise his arm and spreads his fingers and toward one of the many Star Destroyers. This one in particular is cruising toward a small city on Jakku, about to blast it into nothingness, when Luke uses the Force to disable the systems and turns off the power of the destroyer and begins to slowly drag it down to the sand. Now, let me just stop right here for 1 second. Now, this is something, by the way, that J.J. Abrams tried to introduce first. Rian Johnson thought about doing this, then canceled the idea. And so now Jon and Dave are picking up on what should have been done that was never established in the canon for Luke to actually take down a Star Destroyer. Now, this was hinted, by the way, I believe in one of the Aftermath novels, but not directly said that it was Luke. But it was hinted and suggested that Luke took down one of those ships on Jakku. So as you all may or may not know, the Battle of Jakku took place 1 year after the events of the Battle of Endor. It was basically the last stand for the Empire before they officially were over and done with. And then basically had all these different factions spreading out across the galaxy. The thing that I like so much about this is that Jon and Dave originally wanted to do this in the Rangers of the New Republic show that got canceled that is now being picked up again. And they salvaged that scene from Rangers and are putting it into Mando 4. So given that they are reinventing Rangers right now, it's too late to throw this into Rangers, obviously. But Mando 4 will now be the actual destination to showcase the very moment in which Luke takes down an actual Star Destroyer and brings it down into the sand. But there's more to this, of course, that already is basically going to expand past, of course, what they want to do. Now, on top of this, too, what's even all the more exciting is that The character Jared, who fought alongside Luke, delivers dialogue that says something around the lines of he's growing stronger every day, and that he hasn't seen a power like that since Vader. The character Jared is revealed to be an alias, where he pulls back his hood and takes off a helmet, where his voice is distorted, and that stops, where it's unveiled to be no other than Lando Calrissian. As it turns out, this Jared character was Lando the entire time, telling the tale of Luke, and that John and Dave are planning on getting Billy Dee Williams back to use him through the de-aging technology process on him for a very brief cameo in Mando 4, where Lando is aimed to be the newest cameo in the series that connects to Luke's flashback. The scene is actually illustrated already in the storyboards and actually concludes where Lando is unveiled to be talking to no other than Din Djarin inside of what appears to be an old Rebel base. Now, I don't know if you guys really knew this, but basically what Mando 4 is going to be all about is that, yes, not only will it have a flash forward, but it's also going to have flashbacks, and we're also going to have a big time jump in The Mandalorian Season 4, so you're going to expect a lot of character development, a lot of character differences than how you see them in Season 3, so Din Djarin most likely is going to be very much different than how we see him currently in Season 3, so this is something that I think a lot of fans have always wanted to see. We got to see something like this in The Force Unleashed with Starkiller, and basically that's a Legends, comparison, obviously, but what I like about this is that this is the very thing that Rian Johnson never wanted to do. He himself even talked about this, that Luke taking down AT-ATs or Star Destroyers would be absolutely ridiculous, and that he would never want to do that on screen. And so John and Dave are actually doing exactly what fans want to see, an almighty power moment where Luke is able to use the Force in ways that we have never seen before. And they want to make it very brief, they want to make it very short and powerful as a scene, and I can understand how John and Dave, find great ways to balance things out. They know, by the way, what's too little and what's too much, and they did that perfectly in Mando Season 2's finale, where you got to see him, using the Force to crush those Dark Troopers and doing all the like. So basically now they're going to escalate things further by having Luke take down the Star Destroyer. Now, what I like about this too is that they are also creating this suspense, this build-up toward Lando Calrissian making a big appearance. Now, could this be a way of John and Dave making up for the big-time delay of the Lando series? It's very possible. We know that Donald Glover is having a lot of delays with that, a lot of setbacks because he's so busy with different projects. You're not going to see the Lando Calrissian series for a very long time. Even if it doesn't get cancelled, it's going to be a very long time until you see it. At least 2025, and maybe even longer than that. So anyways, guys, with that being all put out there and said, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.